Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of
Talk, Heal, Evolve. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Ebony.
Ebony, let's take them on a journey of healing and self-discovery.
Yes.
Grab your seat.
Wrap yourself in a cozy blanket.
Don't forget that journal.
And prepare to dive into conversations that nurture the soul.
I think it's time to create intentional space for growth and evolution.
Girl, you ready?
Let's get into it.
Welcome, 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 guys,
Welcome.
to another episode of Talk, Heal, Evolve. I'm your girl, Ebony.
Stephanie.
And we are so excited to be here with you all today. Yes. We have another great topic for you all.
Yes.
And today's topic surrounds motherhood.
Dun, dun, dun.
Motherhood.
Yes.
Motherhood. And it's so much good information and so many questions that I have surrounding this topic. But before we jump in, I kind of want to define it for us and for the people, right?
Right.
So I want to start with what your definition of motherhood is.
So my definition of motherhood is pretty broad.
Okay.
But it is the act of nurturing and caring, and then celebrating the children that you have, and not the children that you want.
Okay.
Right? Whether that be born from you or that you've acquired through time, but you're celebrating, you're loving on, you're nurturing on the children that you have.
See, that opens up a whole nother that I didn't think about. Okay. That's really good. That's really good, and I have questions.
Good.
So for me, I think motherhood is about nurturing, caring, and loving on children, on your children, whatever you consider yours to be. Because when you think about it, you can be a mom and not have had the children yourself, which is something that I wasn't really thinking about when we were discussing this topic.
For sure.
But yeah, I know when I originally was like, let me Google and see what Google says, how Google defines motherhood. And it did say nurturing in a few things, but it more so talked about like the physical, like caring for the child, clothing the child, feeding the child. And I'm just like, but that's not it. That's important.
It is important, but that's your teacher.
That is right. And I think as a mother, way more goes into being a mom than the feeding, clothing, housing of a child.
Absolutely.
Because I think that as in any human, we need more than that to really survive and thrive.
Right.
And I think more thrive.
Yes, thrive. You can survive.
Right, because the physical aspects of it we can survive off of, but I think the emotional aspects is how we thrive in the world. Okay, let's get into it. Okay.
So when we talk about motherhood, right, we've defined it a little bit, but I want to go a little bit deeper and define the difference between being a mother and being a mom.
Okay.
Because I think they're very different things.
They are.
I think all moms are mothers, but not all mothers are moms.
Okay, and I can see that. Honestly, I never thought about it until this conversation, because honestly, when we have conversations like this, it's more so there's a difference between a dad and a daddy, or a dad and a father. And so I never thought about the difference between a mom and a mother.
Yeah.
But there's a clear distinction.
Very much so.
So yeah.
Yeah. So for me, a mother is anyone who has birthed a child. And a mom is anyone who takes care of, loves on, nurtures, celebrates a child.
And I am in agreement with that.
Yeah. And I think motherhood is like the encompassing activity of that, of being a mom. You know what I mean? So just because you birth somebody don't mean you're a mom.
Correct.
Like, I know some pretty shitty mothers.
Right. And to be honest, like, even when you raise a child that you didn't birth, you can still be a mother and not a mom.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I just think about adoption and foster care and, maybe your parents die and you have to go live with someone
Even
else.
stepmothers.
Yeah, even stepmothers. They can do all of the physical things and then not show up emotionally or spiritually in any form.
Yeah.
And then you only learn how to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good. So now that we got our definitions together, let's get into the conversation.
Okay.
So, what are some societal thoughts and pressures around being a mom?
So I feel like in today's society, people, especially like on the internet, because Lord knows, I think the conversation of today is that if you don't want to be a mother, you are damaged in some way, right? Or you can't have children past the, oh my God, you have no more eggs left, or
Yeah.
you have a clock that's running out, and all these things. It's like the pressures of becoming a mom is kind of crazy in today's world. The pressures in today's society on becoming a mom, I feel like can be overwhelming for a lot of women.
Of course. I think and it sucks because I think that you talked about two types of pressure, I think.
Yeah.
But there's also like an internal pressure, right? Because sometimes you want to become a mom and you just can't.
Yeah.
Whether that's like medical reasons or you just
that.
have not found the person that you want to have a child with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so a lot of times people would say, and I hate this conversation and the questions surrounding it. Like, even with my couples, there are two things I never ask my couples. Like when they come for planning services is, let me see your ring. And are you guys going to have children? Even after it.
Really intrusive.
It is. And even afterwards, like when they go on their honeymoon, and you'll hear it throughout the planning process, like other caterers and things, oh, let me see your ring. Like we're at the planning table. Or when it's done on their honeymoon, okay, go make those babies, things like that. And I think it's really disheartening because there's so many things that women go through, whether it be traumatic experiences when they were young, whether it be medical conditions that they have, that you just cannot have children, And so to put that kind of pressure on them, when they put it on themselves already, is just like...
That's a lot.
It is a lot. And I know a lot of my friends all went to boarding school, all girls schools. And so, they make you independent, they make you strong, all these kinds of great things, but they also make you intimidating. And so a lot of them are not married and they don't have children because they're independent, they're strong, and they're doing their thing career-wise, but it doesn't really leave room. And so the pressures of asking all of those things is very stressful.
That's actually really good. Now, I can say that I have definitely been in a room where when I see women who are more career driven, I do ask, like, why is it intrusive to ask someone, though?
Because these are very sensitive topics, right? And I equate it to, breast cancer. Okay? A very feminine person has a bout with breast cancer and she loses her breasts. So now she has no titties. Would you go and ask her why she doesn't have any breasts?
Well, asking a woman about her breasts in general, no. But if I see
it's the same thing because it's the same trauma, right? That they now have to go and relive. So you've asked them a question. Well, did you ever want to get married or do you ever want a kid? And this is something they've grappled with and they're depressed about. And then you ask them, even though it's an innocent question that you really, they still have to explain that to you, which they probably explained 11 times, and then go home and sit with that. Be reminded of the things that they want that they can't have.
That is interesting.
It is. One time, somebody told me that it is hard to be around me and my family because I have things that they don't have. Okay. And so even though they want to celebrate with me, it's hard in some instances because they wanted a family and they want children, but it's not happening for them. And so just being sensitive to people's feelings, I never ask womb questions.
Okay. And I completely get that. We are so wrapped into society
Mhm.
and the limits or limitations that they put on us,
Mhm.
and then the expectations that they have for us
Right.
as women, and becoming moms, and the pressures of, what age you should be. It's like, child, if you don't have your child by 30, it's like, I heard somebody say, if you don't have a child by 30, you are doomed. And I'm like, what are people talking about these days?
Right.
It's
Right.
like, you have all these babies having babies, and the fucking world is still fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there is a sweet spot for children.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that's like between 29 and 33.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, what makes you say a sweet spot?
I say sweet spot because I think that you have to be mature enough
Mm-hmm.
to um to do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I think maturity also comes with the thing, with a kid,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But then also I think that there's a limit to that because these kids will tire your ass out if you. I feel like if you're doing it the right way,
Yeah.
you know. And so having a kid at damn 39, 36, even 36 was a lot.
Oh, is that how old you were when you had your babies?
With the last one,
You were 39.
no, because I'm 40 now.
Oh, okay.
So
So
it
you were
was 4 years
36.
ago. Yeah, 36.
Okay.
That's a lot. I'm tired, and he's only 4. So I cannot imagine. I mean, I work a lot too, but I can't imagine having a kid at 30, like late 30s, 39.
Really? And so for me,
You're
I
50
think,
by the time your child is just graduating high school. Like,
right, but you
that's a
say
lot.
50, like that's. So for me, your late 30s is a sweet spot for me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel as though there are too many people having children who do not know themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And there are too many people having children. And so the conversation is around motherhood, right? And
Right.
so it doesn't, I do want to say that it doesn't negate fatherhood. But in this
Right. For
moment, we're
sure.
just talking about motherhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that there are too many women having children, and they don't themselves love themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that having children, when you yourself don't have love for yourself, is a disaster.
Oh, for
It's a
sure.
recipe for a disaster.
Yes.
And I think that when you yourself don't have a plan for your life or an outline for your life and you're on the right track, that's also a recipe for disaster.
Okay.
And I also think that if you haven't experienced life yet
Mm-hmm.
and traveled and done certain things, that's also a recipe for disaster. And I say that because I hear so many. How many times do we hear people say, like, "Oh, I had children, so I didn't get to do this,"
Mm-hmm.
or like, "I had dreams, but then I became a mother."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, live your life first, And so for me, I'm like, your late 30s, I feel like I've done so much.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I get there, that'll be like the settling down phase for me.
I don't know. I'm a different mind. I feel like getting to know and love yourself doesn't happen at a specific age.
For sure.
Doing
I
things
mean,
doesn't
I would
happen
just
at.
hope that it happens before you get close to 40.
I mean, nowadays I really don't know. I think it just depends on the individual. But I think that late 40s is when I want to start experiencing life.
Really?
Yes, in a different kind of way. So like in your early 20s for me, I feel like I was not ready to be a mother. I didn't want to be a mother.
For sure.
I didn't want children. I did want a child, and I'm embarrassed to say, but I only wanted a kid to see how it would look, right? And I only wanted one. Late 20s, I was already well educated. I was already well traveled, and so I feel like that was a good age. Early 30s, same thing. And then by the time I'm ready to like be old and in my ownness,
Yeah.
I'll have the money that or set aside to do the things.
Yeah.
I'll have the experience and life appreciation to do that, because I don't feel like even early 30s you appreciate life the way that it needs to be appreciated.
Really?
In a slower fashion, yes. And so like in 40s, I want to go and I want to see the things in my time, you know, as opposed to seeing the things. That's how I feel in 20s and 30s. I want to see everything. I want to do everything. Now I want to see stuff. I want to go places, and I want to go real places, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't want to go to, like, and no offense, because I've always wanted to go these places. I wanted Jamaica and, you know, the places that people normally go.
Right.
Okay, great fun, beautiful food and people. But I want to see, you know, damn
Egypt.
Right, Egypt, Leaning Tower of Pisa. I want to see the Louvre. Or, you know, I want to see things in my time. And so I feel like late motherhood is good. And you can experience those things with your children.
Yeah.
So, while they have an appreciation.
Correct. But that's late motherhood. So I think.
Right. You know, so if you're 30s, right? By the time they're 18, you still have the energy and the want. Because you're only 48. Not even 50 really, for them to appreciate and you to appreciate the thing with them. So you're you know what I mean? You're not tired.
Yeah. So I think I have to even back up because I think I said the sweet spot, and I actually want to take age off of it because it's not an age. We all come into certain experiences at different times in our lives.
Exactly.
Right. Yes. And I think for me, I say my late 30s because during my 20s, I didn't want children. Honestly, I didn't get to a part in my life of wanting children until I hit 30, 31. And when I started to do some real, you know, when I say work on myself in quotations, all that really means or all that really looks like is loving on myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Having love for myself, having grace for myself, having forgiveness for the things that have happened for me and to me.
Yeah.
And so in my 20s, I didn't want children. I didn't want children growing up. I didn't want children. Yeah. Right? So I definitely want to talk about that.
Yeah.
I know for me, I became a mom in the 6th grade. Okay? My nephew was dropped off, and at the time, it was just my mom, me, and my sister. And my sister was in cheerleading.
Yeah.
And I was the one who didn't have any, like, extracurricular activities, and my mom was always working because she's single parent household. She has to take care of us and provide for us, right? So work is calling, and especially back in the day, even in today's society, in order to be able to take care of your household, because we stayed in a home, so you're talking about taking care of a mortgage and taking care of your children and taking care of your grandchildren as far as providing clothes, shelter, and all that stuff. You have to work multiple jobs in order to do so.
Right.
There's very rare in our economy as a whole, on a whole level, where one job supports the entire household.
Right.
It's very rare. So I was the one left with making sure he got home off the bus, making sure his homework was done. I'm talking about once I got into high school, he was going on dates to the point people were asking me if this was my child.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not my child.
Yeah.
I am too young. So, you know, like, I did a lot of cooking growing up, and I think that I just had to become an adult very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And that probably put a sour taste in my mouth to be a mom.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I had already been given the role of mom without wanting it. Very young, right? So I'll start there and say that, because sometimes we say that we don't want children, but it's always something else behind it, right? As I got older, the driving force, especially when I got into therapy, I realized that, what I started to say was, I don't want to be a mom because I don't want to damage another human.
Yeah.
Because I felt like the fact that I had to go and break every foundational thing that I've learned, I felt like, so I remember telling my therapist one day, like, it's so fucked up that I have to now come and do all of this work for things that I am not responsible for.
Yeah.
But I have to take responsibility of where I'm at today and how I want my life to look, right? So I was just thinking to myself, I never want to do this to another human. Never want to raise a child to have to then go through the things that I'm going through, which is just fucking unlearning and relearning and really loving on myself and not caring about what society thinks and not having self-hate, not thinking about colorism, all the things that we go through. It's like you got to bring, and even if you don't have that type of trauma, I think that people think about stuff like that. Bringing a child into this world and still having to deal with racism, colorism, economic struggles, like, you know what I mean? It's so much.
It is.
To bear. And to do it as a single mom, I will say that my hats go off to the single moms because honestly,
girl, yours, mine, my hats, my shoes, my everything. Like,
I don't know how they do it, but super women for sure.
Yeah.
You know? But so with that said, it's interesting to hear that you wanted to have a child young because I know we've had many conversations behind your story of motherhood that I would love for you to share with the audience.
What stories are you talking about?
So, like, I remember you saying that you didn't want kids.
Right.
So, for me, I just figured you always have said that.
Yeah.
So, has it been so now you went through a phase in your 20s where you wanted a child for the looks of it. So, when did for the looks of it change to not wanting to have children?
Gotcha. So, I never wanted to have children from when I was young. Just because I feel like, and I still feel like children are a responsibility that, like, you have to be super committed to.
You have to, for sure.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of.
Exactly. It's not like, and even sometimes people say, oh, you're in this until they're 18. No, children are a forever thing.
Forever.
You know, and I'm a very selfish person. And I can say that, and I've always known that, and that's why I didn't want a child, because I know that there are a lot of things that I would have to give up to have a child. And when I, got of age, like high school, college, I knew that I'm not very maternal.
Okay.
I'm more of like go-getter kind of boss, masculine kind of person. And so I did not know how I would nurture a child. And that wasn't interesting for me. Like, my sister is very feminine. She's a nurturer. She likes to take care of you and love, like, that kind of thing. And that's just not me. And so I never wanted children. But, some people were having kids and stuff. And I was like, dang, I wonder if my child would have dimples or if they would have long hair like me. And, just different kinds of things. Yeah. Very, very superficial. I admit it. And so I only wanted one for that, but I still didn't really want a child.
Right.
And I think the only time I found that I did want a child is I had a miscarriage.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And so I was pregnant. I had a miscarriage. And I was like, dang. And I still don't really understand, like, miscarriages emotionally right now, because I don't know if people are missing the baby that they're connected to or the idea. And I know for sure at that time, I was definitely, the idea of having a baby was like something that I had missed. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe I really do want to have a kid, but not with you. So that was a blessing in disguise. So that's when I realized that I did want to have kids. And now I have them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're great.
Yes, they are. It's so funny because I love my children. But it's weird because my cousin and I were pregnant at the same time. And I went to a baby shower and she was there. Oh, actually, it was my baby shower. Wait a minute. It was my baby shower. And she surprised me and she was there. We were pregnant at the same time, about to give birth at the same time. Okay. And somebody had asked something, and she was like, oh, my God, I love this. I love my baby. I can't wait till he's born. And, like, all these emotions, like, she knew this child. Yeah. And I was just like, I didn't feel any connection to Aaron. She was my first baby, my first born child, not my first child, but I didn't feel any connection and stuff. I loved the way she felt swimming in my stomach, like those kind of things. I like pregnant outfits and stuff,
Yeah.
but not really a connection until she was born.
Okay.
And so that was so weird for me.
Okay.
To have somebody feel that kind of thing. And a lot of women say that, but I just don't understand it because I don't really know you, all that kind of stuff. Hearing her heartbeat for the first time was just like mind blowing. And then the first time I felt her move inside was mind blowing.
Okay.
But after that, it was like, but then when she was born, it was just like all the emotions and all the love and that kind of thing happened. But yeah.
So, okay, I want to ask you a question. Knowing just a little bit of your background, right? Do you think that because you went to boarding school during just high school, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But middle school and all of that was public or private?
Private, primary, public middle, and then for high school, boarding school.
Okay. Do you feel that boarding school and the way it is and how it's set up kind of cuts off a nurturing aspect of motherhood?
I don't think so. Well, maybe somewhat, yes. Somewhat, yes. Because I think that you are a nurturer or you aren't, right? Even in how you care for pets when you're young, even how you care for your friends, things like that. I think that there's always a thing there that you're either one with it or you're not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I think for sure the type of environment that you go through, your environment always kind of builds or shapes how you grow. And for sure they instilled in us, women are awesome. You can do all the things. And they build you to be very independent and self-sufficient. And I think that once you have that ingrained in you, you want to do all the things. And if you have a child at this point, it's like you can't do all the things. So even my decision to not go to medical school was built on like, well, if I spend all this money and time in my education, I am not stopping to have a child, like, period. Because it would feel like I wasted time and money.
Right.
So I think that, well, not I think, but that was one of the major factors in, my career choices.
Yeah. And it's so, when I hear that, so two things. When I hear that, it makes me wonder who came up with having children really young? Who made that a thing, right? Who made you should have children in your 20s? Because that's really the thing. They're like, by 30 you should have.
I think that comes from back in the day, right? Because you needed to have as many children as you could to work your farms and to help out in the house, right? That's the point of children, workers.
That's wild.
Absolutely. But, and so you started young so you could have as many as possible.
Right. And I think that, let's just say the origin of that really came from slavery for black people.
Not so. I don't think so.
I do, because let me tell you why. Because they used to have birthing farms, right?
Yeah.
Where it was literally people being birthed to become workers.
Oh, that I believe.
Right. So
that I believe that there were farms. But in terms of just like a familial unit, I think that that's been from the beginning of time. Like, you have as many children to sustain your family and to grow the population. Like, I don't think it was just, that was definitely a thing so they can sell our babies, so that they can, just more profit based. But in general, the whole overarching thing, I think it was just to have as many as possible.
Interesting. That's interesting. And I can't even say that it's untrue. I think I just never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
But I do think, like, it's very selfish of people to have children, to create workers.
Oh, absolutely.
To have children to sustain your business.
Yeah.
Because I think of it, I'm more of a spiritual person. So I feel like when children who are just humans come into this world, they already have a preset destiny. They already have a purpose. And the job of a parent is to help nurture that and guide them, but not create a mini you to live through your child.
Yeah.
Or to have your child follow in your footsteps.
Right.
I think that that is very traumatic for a child because they then can't live their own individual lives.
Absolutely. And I see it all the time with my own child.
Really?
Right? Absolutely. So, my son is 21. And, he's just like the greatest. He was the greatest experience for me as a first time mother, right? Okay. And so walking into a situation, I didn't want to be with someone who already had children, but it just happened to be that way. And I've never called him my stepson. That's my son. For him, I don't want to be a stepmother. I'm your bonus mom because I just felt like it had a negative connotation. So bonus mom, I heard that and I was like, yes, because I don't want to replace his mother. Right. I just want to be, I want it to be an additional support.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, from when he was young to even now, he's a grown man now. Yeah. And he's so unique in the way he dresses. Like, he's that guy. So, period. Yes. And so even when we go places, everybody always wants to talk to him, and because he's his own person. Yeah. And so even though other people want to steer him in a direction, or I want him to find himself. Yeah. And to support him in every way that I can, because I think that that's how you grow responsible people and people who are confident in themselves. Because if I tell you to do something or be something or go to college or whatever, you're doing that because I want you to. Right. So there's no confidence in that, Right, right. And I've always loved and respected my mother for supporting me through, and I've done so many different things in my life, so many different things, and she's always supported everyone without making me feel like, oh, you're doing too much or you're crazy, Right, right. Yeah. I
love that you say that because I was having a conversation with my mom, and I was telling you, she came over and we spent some time together. Yeah. This morning we were having a conversation, and I realized that in my current stages of pivoting, I haven't really expressed the direction I want to go in my career. Yeah. Right. And to me, I've told 2 or 3 people, and to me, that's the masses. Right. That's it. So when I expressed it to her, she was like, really? And I'm like, it just had dawned on me yo, I really haven't told anyone. Yeah. And it's just because I don't want other people's opinions. Right. I think I told the 2 or 3 people because I knew that they would give me space without judgment. But then also sometimes even the 2 or 3 is too much, right? Yeah. Because in my figuring it out, I'm going to go back and forth until I make a decision. And so it's hard for me to want to share those things with people because I never want to take on anybody else's opinions or insecurities of what they think that I can or cannot do, right? But it was interesting, our conversation, because she held space for what I was saying, and she actually understood, right? And she kind of explained oh, that comes with just life. Yeah. In life, you're going to take pivots and stuff like that. So it's okay to switch careers. But she understood, too, that I'm switching, although I'm saying I'm switching careers, I'm really not. I'm still in my industry. Yeah. I just want to do something different in my industry. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Which is still big.
It's huge.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's in a way that I've never imagined. I always thought that I would just be cooking for people, right? Boy, do I not like it anymore. Yeah. Yeah. So pivoting into something else can be very scary because I don't know what it looks like. But
having that support is important.
Yes, having that support is important. And I think that for a lot of people, they do not have that type of support and may have never had that type of support to where they had the space to just say what was there and then feel supported on whatever journey or route that they wanted to take. You know what I mean?
Got you. Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny because I heard something some time ago that completely changed how I view parenting, right? And I don't remember the guy's name, so if you know, put him in the comments. But he said that no 2 children will ever have the same parents. So even if you're born to the same parents, same household, you will never have the same parents. Yeah. And that was just mind-blowing to me. Yeah. And so my motherhood journey with Mari was very different than my motherhood journey with Aaron. Yeah. Which was very different than how I now mother Aiden, And so Abdul and I have grown in certain ways. Situations have changed, and so having her, being scared or, apprehensive in telling is not not normal, but she's grown too.
Correct.
So now she knows how to hold the space and can.
Correct.
So just giving grace to moms and dads too, of course, but like giving grace for them to grow as we grow as children.
Yeah. I think is really, really important. Another topic that I want to get into, right, is because we are just talking about moms in this segment, right? However, I know people are going to be in the comments like, what about dads? But what I do want to discuss is being a single parent and the detriment that it has to our society and our community. It's not to say that being a single parent makes you less than, but what I mean is being a single parent without any support, any healthy support, is a detriment, because I do not think one person, whether male or female, whether mom or father, can raise healthy children by themselves.
Correct.
Right.
And I think it's an important conversation that's to be had.
It is.
I think that we have to be cognizant of how we speak to our children, how we grow to our children, and what we show them. And I think that how you interact with people directly affects your children. So being a single parent without someone for them to see how you love, how you should be spoken to, how you should speak to people, how you develop relationship with your family that's not in your household, right? Relationship, just between siblings, all that kind of stuff is very difficult if you don't have a support system. So for example, I think that
I love examples.
I know, huh? And I don't know that this is true because I've never discussed it with him. So forgive me, honey. But I think that my relationship with my sister was difficult for my husband to understand when we first got together, because that she is like my left titty, right? And so and we know everything. We talk about everything. If I'm having a difficult time with something, I need to talk it out. And so I'd call her. And so just, I think, not having maybe a close-knit relationship, you don't understand that, you know, when you do encounter that. So even like children with closeness with their parents, right? If someone is not close with their parent and they come into your situation, why are you telling them that? Or even children, let's sneak out, and the person's like, no, all those kind of things, like you don't really allow them to develop relationship and how to speak in love on people if they don't see that, Yeah,
and I think the key word is see.
Yes.
They need to experience it through learning it. You can tell them all day, but telling them and communicating that to them is pretty much in one ear and out the other. They have to see and experience your behavior.
Absolutely.
And how you interact within the world.
Absolutely.
And I think that is the most important thing, which I'll back up because that will bring me to something else that I want to talk about. But I think that it is so important to have a support system. And so when people don't have it, what do you think some solutions are for finding a support system?
Yeah.
Because I think that if you make a decision to have a child, and so many people are doing it, and they're making a decision to do it by themselves, right? What are some ways to get a support system? Because it is so necessary, whether it's a mom's club or a Facebook group where y'all meet in person, or because I don't think that there is enough workshops, advice, classes that you can take to prepare yourself for motherhood.
Absolutely not.
Right? I think that once you come into it, you will be learning.
Yeah, sink
right?
or swim.
Because, baby, I was middle school, high school.
Yeah.
I'm talking about one nephew and then my twin nephews. I was learning a lot.
Yeah.
Okay? And it was something that I couldn't call nobody. First of all, I called somebody and asked them. It's crazy that I'm even saying this because I'm not even a mother, right?
Yeah.
But having to be a mother figure, it's like, waking up out of your sleep because one child is crying. Soon as you put that child to sleep, another one is crying.
Yeah.
And I'm in fucking high school. Like, this is too much.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you think? Because I haven't had any children yet, right? Mm-hmm. And you have. So, what do you think some ways that people can really find solutions and find community and find support systems?
So, I think that one of the easiest ways is the natural environments for your child, right? So if they're going to school and they develop a best friends mm-hmm. or friends, I think it's important for you to investigate families, right?
Oh, okay.
Yes, for sure. So all the people that Erin call her friends and stuff, I really watch how the children behave, because that's a clear indication of how their parents behave.
Ooh, girl.
Yes. Yeah. And so who you let your children be around, yeah. and then encourage them to be around. And so if you watch how people speak to their children and you like it, or you like how smart their children are, how focused they are, yeah. encourage the play dates. Encourage them to be around the families of those children, because then they'll see healthy interactions. Yeah. If they go to camps and things like that, just encourage, and make sure you're investigating.
Right.
To see.
So, two things here, because there are some things you said that I'm like, only because we've had conversations.
Yeah.
And so, the one is when your children have friends mm-hmm. and you realize that their environment isn't really conducive to yours.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that friendship? Because I think the worst thing that you can do as a person is tell another person that, or as a human, to tell another human that they can't be around someone that they admire or adore or have a friendship with. Yeah. Because I think that what it breeds is resentment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I know kids who are like, who will rebel,
yeah,
because they're being told you can't hang out with this person, you can't do this, right? How do you navigate that, especially at this young age, right?
Right. I think it is important to do at a young age, but not only resentment. I think it breeds insecurity, mm-hmm. because then they question themselves: am I not choosing the right people?
Yeah.
Right. And so my solution, because there are some children that I do not like who she speaks to, things like that. I limit screen time. I redirect to other people. And when they're this young, they're friends be changing every week. So I just allow more time with the children whose parents I do respect, mm-hmm. And then limit time with others. Mm-hmm. And then I also call her, mostly Erin, because she's the only influential one right now. Mm-hmm. I mostly call her attention to the child's behavior, right? And so for one little girl, I'm just like, Erin, it's time to turn off the tablet. Did you unload the dishwasher? And mm-hmm. while she's unloading, now I'm helping, right? It's a chore she's supposed to do by herself, but in my way to nurture and encourage, I'm helping. So it's our together thing, right? And I'm like, why did she talk to you like that? Mm-hmm. Did she really say? And now she's like, oh my gosh, Mom, yes, she did. And I did not like. Oh, if you don't like it, you don't have to talk to her. Tell her that until she learns how to speak to you, don't. And then she starts these behaviors now. So I hear her, don't talk to me like that. Call me back when you're ready. And she'll end that FaceTime in a minute.
Completely love that.
Yeah, so redirection.
Yeah. And so I feel like in instances like that, you have to be so hands-on.
For sure.
Because especially with technology,
yeah,
like you cannot be a workaholic
mm-hmm.
in a way where you are never home,
right,
to even catch those things,
right.
So that to me is really hands-on.
Yeah. And I am a workaholic, and so it's like I don't get to catch every one, but the ones that you do catch, you have to make a point about it, and that's why I try to be so integrated with me telling her.
Yeah.
And then technology is like, they can talk to these kids all the time, but the beauty in that is you can just hear them. It's not like they whispering on the phone. I can hear what she's saying and my child is saying, so I can hear the exchange. And so just having like being able to multitask, if you will.
And then you have parental controls, right? Because you can see Aaron's stuff from your computer,
yes,
right?
I do. I read all of those text messages.
Correct. And I think that is important. Some people would consider it invasive, but I think that it's necessary, especially for young children. And sometimes what we consider invasive or overprotective is very beneficial. And as an adult, you understand that it's just loving care.
Yes.
And you appreciate it more than those who had parents that were never home. It was the party house. It was we come and do whatever we want. This is the kickback. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You appreciate it more.
So I wanted to talk about challenges of being a mother or a mother figure, because I find a lot of times there are challenges and we don't discuss them. You kind of lose yourself in motherhood because there's this motherhood and fatherhood to me are very different.
Okay.
When I had my children in the hospital, like when they're crying, I feel it in my bones. You know what I'm saying? Like it was the weirdest thing. Like it's like the weirdest thing, and I don't care what nobody says. Like moms have another sense that they develop with birth.
For sure.
And he was sleeping on the thing, and just like the littlest whimper, like I feel it vibrating in my soul. And so to have that not being able to turn off is just like.
So you still feel it till today?
Yes, like I know when something is like.
Wow.
I call her and see what she's doing. She's not happy, or when Aiden cried, like there's no man up in my house. You know what I'm saying? What is wrong? Yeah. How do you feel? Can we use words for this? Like, there's no man up. There's no stop crying. Like, none of that stuff, because I just don't think it's right. But it's like turning that off is not a thing. You know? Mom guilt comes with me wanting to work and wanting me to perfect the project. She has a softball game. How am I going to choose? Like, you know what I'm saying? And so I think one of the major challenges with motherhood is being able to turn that thing off when you want to or need to, and then the guilt of not doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing.
I do want to back up a bit because I remember you saying a quote from someone. You couldn't remember his name, right? And it was basically the two experiences. And I felt like that holds true for so much, right?
Yes.
And so as looking from a parent's perspective, right? And you talk about the guilt of it all. Because you do realize that even though you do your best to do the best for all of your children, as a human, you're going to fall short.
Right.
Right? Can you give some examples of like what mom guilt looks like?
Yes. So but working a job, and again, she having a softball game. Mom, you coming to my softball game, and me having to say no for the how manyth time? You know what I mean? Because these things happen on the weekend. Yeah. And weddings happen on the weekend. Yeah. So it's like you feel like you're doing the thing that's best for them, but they feel like they just know you're not coming to the game. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so having that feeling multiple times is like guilt. Yeah. Or if, you just feel like you're never doing enough. Right. For them. Like nothing is ever enough for a child. You know what I'm saying? And then the finite words make you feel super guilty. You never, or how come we never, how come you always say, like, those words. And even though I try to encourage her to use different and like bring up examples, to them, that doesn't matter. You never come home when you're supposed to, like, those kinds of things.
Oh, trust me.
Are you going to record again? Like, all of those.
Sleepover.
Exactly.
Because, baby, I'd be like, I just hope she don't ask me, because I don't even want to say no. I feel so bad to tell kids no. It feels so hard.
So there's never ending examples of guilt. So even like with Mari, Abdul and I now have more money. We have more time because he works from home. I have my own thing going on. So that's a guilt there. And then when he was growing up, it's like trying to rear him the right way. So going from two different households where one is more structured and then one where he has a lot more freedom then he comes into the house and it's like, or you need to,
Yeah.
and you feel so guilty because it's like, I don't want to be here, you know. And then when he gets
yeah.
older, now he's like, when can I come home? Like, you know,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And so you feel guilty in this instance, but later on, they realize it was for the best and they actually want more structure because it's like, do you even care about me if I could do whatever I want to do? Like, they
Yeah.
feel loved but at an older age.
Yeah. Always at an older age, right? And then it always is situational too. Because I think that sometimes when kids get older, young adults, I would say, even as a parent doing what you consider is your all,
yeah,
still for some children, young adults, it falls short of. Like, so
yeah.
take an example, like, Mom, are you coming to my softball game? Or my football game? Or my whatever game? And it's like, what young adults will look at is what you didn't do, and sometimes negate what was done.
Right.
And then a lot of times they don't really get the understanding until they have children of their own.
Correct.
And sometimes it won't happen until you have children. It just it just goes that way. So it's interesting because there is no such thing as a perfect mother, right? And so you really just, and your all, sometimes we do have to be realistic. Like, what you consider your all to be is some bullshit.
For real.
It's some bullshit. And it's some bullshit. However, if that was your all, my heart goes out to what your mother thought was her all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, my God, the trauma in our community goes very deep.
It does. And I find that a lot of, I'm not going to say a lot of, but there's a percentage of motherhood that is for show. And that is disheartening to me. Yeah. You know, you want to be the Pinterest mom, but when we get home, you know, I don't know what you are because you're not a mom. You know what I mean? And so just showing
the exploitation.
Yes.
Of our children.
For sure. And so, you know, just making sure that you're living for them.
Right.
As opposed to living for other people.
Or even living for yourself.
I mean, I feel like you have to a certain degree.
Through your kids.
Oh, right. Okay. For sure. Yes.
Yeah. Because a lot of people, they don't live the lives that they want. So then they push it and force it onto their children.
Absolutely.
For their children to live the lives that you wanted to live but didn't get to.
Yeah.
And I think that is just the worst thing that you can do.
It is. Yeah. It is.
Or one of the worst things that you can do. And so, you know, when we started talking about this topic, honestly, I didn't think of how broad it could be. In all the aspects of parenting and motherhood and all that it encompasses, right? And knowing that there really is a difference between a mother and a mom, even though we've been saying motherhood, I do want to talk about just being a mother and not a mom.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think it exists in so many ways. And then I know we went over the definitions of, like, you're just providing the physical attributes of it. But, like, what are some examples that you would say a household looks like when you are just a mother and a mom, right?
Yeah. So, for me, I would say the best example I could give, and hear me out, is Love and Basketball. One of my favorite movies of all time. Okay. Even though I see it so differently now I'm an adult. But anyway.
Don't we all see the movies differently?
Yes.
When we're yeah.
But when she, being Sanaa Lathan's character, was getting her hair done for prom, and she talked to her mother about just never being there, missing all her games. And her mom was like, yo, I gave up my life to make sure that my house was straight.
Yep. But that wasn't the hair scene, but I get you.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
That was the kitchen scene.
The kitchen scene where she got slapped.
Yeah,
yes. And then the hair scene was when they were able to bond. She was being a mom then, you know?
Yeah.
So that's whatever.
And
but
that
yeah.
scene is actually pretty traumatic as an adult because that was the first time she told her daughter that she was beautiful.
Right.
When she straightened her hair and had on makeup. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Now as an adult, I'm like, wow. But
Yeah.
as a kid, it's just like,
it was a nice scene.
It's a normal thing, especially as a kid when you getting your hair straightened and it's like you have to become this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, she didn't see her as tomboyish, you know. But for her to feel like, as a mom, that she gave up her dreams to take care of her house, but you did not mom me.
Right.
You were a mother, you know. I needed my mom. And so not being nurturing, not being supportive, regardless of what you wanted, I'm what you have.
I'm what you have. And see, you answered the question that was in my head just now, because I felt like even in the movie, it showcased how two people can grow up in the same household and have two different experiences, because what it looked like in the movie is that her older sister had a completely different relationship with her mother.
Yes.
She was the girly girl. She was the one who had the kids and the husband and all the things.
Yeah.
And it seemed as if her and her mother got along very well.
Right.
You know?
Right. And that goes back to what I think the definition of motherhood is. You deal with what you got. You know what I'm saying? And you love that.
Right.
Instead of what you wanted.
Right.
And so I think another example of mothering where you think it's a mom, but it's not. We see parents who bring their kids to softball and they're in the book or they're in the phone. Like, you're bringing them, yes, but are you encouraging them? Are you celebrating? You great job, hit the ball, you know, making them feel. Right. Period. Like,
seeing them.
Yes. So those types of things.
Good examples.
Oh, thank you.
Good examples. I would have never thought the Love and Basketball one, but that was a very clear example, indication of what being a mother and a mom at the same time can look like for two different individuals.
And you know what's crazy about that too is that she thought she was doing the damn thing. You know what I'm saying? But it was more so about you than it was about your children.
Right. I remember looking at a podcast a while ago, and it was a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and she was talking about the studies on parenting, motherhood, and children who grow up in certain households. And she had talked about the statistics of what makes a happy upbringing for a child. And she was asking, so what do you think it is statistically? And so people were answering the question, and they all was just saying the wrong things, very loud and wrong.
Right.
And she was saying the number one indicator for a healthy, happy adult statistically is the happiness of the mother. And I was just thinking to myself, which it goes into something that I've believed for a couple of years now, is that if you don't have love for yourself, space and compassion, kindness, and all the things for yourself, it is hard for you to have it for other people.
Yeah.
And I know we talked about this. I don't know if it was behind the scenes or on camera, but we spoke before about can you give love to a person authentically if you don't love yourself?
Right.
And I remember saying I feel like it's very inauthentic to say you love someone if you don't love yourself. And I get in your mind it's love, right? But it's a toxic type of love. Like, if you don't love yourself wholly and completely, for one, you're not happy. You're not a happy person. You have happy moments, but you're not a happy person. And I think people are like, well, what's the difference? It's like when you are whole, getting whole, practicing wholeness, or doing all the things to feel complete by yourself.
Yeah.
I think you have an understanding that happiness is an action and it's a choice. You literally can get up every single morning and make a very clear distinction and declare that today I'm just going to be happy.
Yeah.
Regardless of this happens, and it's not allowing things and circumstances to alter what you think happiness is, right? I feel the same way about love. I don't feel like it's something that comes from outside of us. I think it's something that comes from within us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we give it, and it's an energy, and it's like something that you give and you bring to the table. It's
Right.
not something that you come to the table empty for, looking for, searching for.
Yeah.
So when I hear the statement that a lot of women say you don't know what true love is until you have a child, I automatically think that is very interesting,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like there are a lot of mothers in this world who have children for love, to be loved, to
Mm-hmm.
feel loved,
Mm-hmm.
and and you have no love to give.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You have no love to give. So it's a very interesting concept for me. Um, yeah.
I think okay, so I kind of understand this statement. They didn't know what love was until they had a child.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's expressed incorrectly. However, I wholeheartedly agree that if you don't love yourself, you cannot give that to someone else, right?
Correct.
You can't give what you don't have.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to love yourself, you can't know how to love someone else, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work to be done there. But I will say that, like I said, with the connection with Aaron, right? Um, Again, it was my first time birthing a child. So there was really nothing connection or whatever. But when the baby comes out, it's like, I am not going to let anything happen to you,
Mm-hmm.
because it's just this bond, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's so small,
Mm-hmm.
like it doesn't know shit about shit. It can't do anything without you.
Mm-hmm.
And so for you to be able to grow a thing,
Yeah.
from your body,
Yeah.
it's a different type of
Is it
a connection.
is it like another level of unconditional love?
Mm, I want to say possibly so.
Because I know, like, yeah, you need love and you need to have love for yourself to
Mm-hmm.
experience it and to be it. But then I also get that there is a connection that you can have with your child that's what I would consider more of a spiritual level. Because when you say, I can feel him or her cry in my bones, that is a spiritual thing for me.
Yeah.
That is like a spiritual connection that you will have with your children, no matter what, whether you're a mother or a mom.
Yeah.
I feel like you're birthing something from your body.
This is what I'm saying.
From your,
yes,
you know what I mean?
And
it is different.
It is very different, to the point where, so I had 2 C-sections.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I've never had a vaginal birth, so intact. But I had a C-section. A C-section, right? And so, they give you the epidural, numbs your body, cut the baby out, and she was not latching, right? And so I'm like, oh my gosh, she's not eating, and they're not giving me the information, because you know how they are with us. Not giving me the information I need. She's not latching. So she is bottle fed very early.
Yeah.
I wasn't until they told me that it was the epidural, the drugs, that was just making her very drowsy and not able to perform the way she needed to perform, right?
Yeah.
So with Aiden now, another C-section, and when I tell you the level of pain that I had with Aaron, I did not want any more children, period. So I had to have another one, had him, and the level of pain is like no other.
Had to have another one. It's crazy.
Right. And like they're cutting through. I don't think, if there are any men that are watching this, I don't think they understand, or even vaginal birthing women. Mm-hmm. They're cutting through the layers of your skin, your muscle, your nerves. Mm-hmm. This is like major surgery. So for all those people who say that women who do not have vaginal births are not real mothers, like, screw you.
Oh, people say that.
Oh my God, it's this big thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, they're cutting through all of this thing. So this is major surgery. I'm talking about if you laugh, you cough, anything, you're like immense pain. So you take morphine, right? I'm not taking no morphine. I'm not taking anything because I don't want to pass any of that to my child.
Right. It's something you didn't know in the beginning.
Correct. So this is the level of love and commitment. Like, your body is in excruciating pain.
Yeah.
But you're like, nope, because he needs to latch on and he needs to get this nourishment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's like levels of sacrifice that you are not willing to take. Like, I would not do that for Abdul. Like, you're going to have to figure it out. But for your child, it's like, you know? Right. But then, my second time around, my nurses were great. She comes in. I know you're not taking any morphine, so what's going on? Talk to me. And I'm like, well, I don't want to pass it to him because I've already done this, and I need him to latch. And she's like, well, think about it like this. If you cannot relax your body, your son cannot eat. Mm. So if you don't love yourself enough to be comfortable, you can't expect to love your child enough for him to eat. Mm. Right? So it's like giving love to yourself so that you can give love to someone else. Yeah. So it goes back to the same thing. So take a little bit of drugs. He's going to be a little sleepy, but you're going to be able for your body to give the sustenance that it needed.
Yeah. That is a powerful story. Mm-hmm. So just do what makes you happy, as long as you can answer that question that I always say. Is it healthy for me, and is it healthy for the person that's receiving it or that's on the other side? And if you can answer yes to both of those, then you have to do what's best for you and your family in that moment. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I think so many times that we look outside of ourselves for answers and opinions, and it's like, but you have to just do what's
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Best for you. It's crazy because this conversation could go on for
ever,
and it's the conversation is so broader than I actually thought it would be. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's definitely something that we could come back to for a part 2.
Sure, yeah.
To talk about so many things, but I know one of the things that we kind of talked about, a few solutions, but really not enough.
Yeah.
And so for sure we'll have a workbook that people can go to for resources and tools on motherhood. Yeah. And even I'm thinking about creating an assessment for a self-assessment for you to figure out if motherhood is something that you want to do. You know? Because if you don't, that is okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do what is best for you. Mm-hmm. So with that said, guys, thank you so much for joining us today on Talk, Heal, Evolve.
Absolutely.
Make sure that you remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe.
All of that.
All of that, right? And make sure to follow us on Patreon and our website coming soon. Until next time, guys.
See you then.
Bye.